Hello, guys. Happy weekend. I thought I would just jump in here and actually share my testimony or a little part of it because I just went to, with my local church, to a sisterhood morning where all the women are gathered. And I shared from the line of, if my journey could teach you anything, then would that be? And I actually thought, oh, I'll write about that because I like to write and put it on my blog. But then I was thinking, oh, this is actually vulnerable, and maybe it would be good to get a face on that journey instead. So I'm just jumping in from my work to repeat what I said to those girls in the hope and prayer that there is someone out there that this is for, and you can relate to this journey and it will encourage you. So I'll just jump straight into it. So if my journey could teach you anything, my journey this far, I'm 25. If it humbly could teach you anything, then it would definitely be that God is still in the business of setting captives free, because I was a captive and I have definitely been set free. So for me, my captivity were eating disorders. It was both anorexia and it was bulimia, and it started for me when I was 18. And before that, self-hatred and low self-esteem had been part of my life for years without me realizing the depth of the issue. I had received Jesus into my life when I was 8 and grown up in a Christian family. And fast forward to when I was 15, my relationship with God really developed. But as I took those steps, I really felt the enemy coming against that and beginning to whisper lies into my ear about that I was not good enough, and comparisons with other girls would start, and my self-talk became very negative and condemning. And I would believe the lie that I needed to be perfect in order to be accepted. And that is really hard to attain in your own self-effort, that we can't be perfect. We are human. So, but I really just bought into those lies from also what media is portraying as beautiful. Then at age 18, I would begin this cycle of lying to then hide how I would either starve myself, or I would over-exercise, or I would binge and then purge. And all of these extremes was a matter of controlling an inside pain with something external. And I believe all food-related struggles are about that. It's never about the food, even though it feels like that. But it is not. It is always about something internal that we haven't learned to manage and to deal with. So it was like that for me as well. And because of the intensity of the bondage I was in, I was actually also in a season for several months where I barely even spoke, because I would isolate myself, and every time I opened my mouth to speak, I would feel this voice being so condemning of everything I said, that it was just easier just to shut down my voice. And my body was shut down too, because it does when you treat it as badly as I was treating it. And as you could imagine, this really affects all of your life. It affects your relationships as well, all this self-destruction. So I really reached rock bottom in the summer of 2011, 7 years ago. I had a lot of suicidal thoughts there as well. And it was in that deepest darkness that one night, as I was going through my rituals of binging and purging, that I would cry out to Jesus, and I would just feel the presence of the Holy Spirit just fill the room. And I would be so shocked because, like, what is God's Holy Spirit doing in the midst of all this ugliness, in the midst of all my shame? But he was there and he comforted me, and I felt him really specifically speak to me about a specific friend he wanted me to share this struggle I had with. So I did. I took that step of surrender, and it really became my rescue, because we cannot do this alone. And as I shared with her, she shared with me how she was dealing with the exact same thing. And that was just such the timing of God, because we then could help each other to apply for different Bible schools. She went to the US and I went to Australia. And from that point on, it was just a daily decision of surrendering my journey to Jesus. And so first of all, if my journey could teach you anything, it would be to not despise yourself and the way you are wired. For me, I really had to learn that my sensitivity is a gift from God that needs to be stewarded, yes, but it does not need to be guarded and locked up in order to be perceived as what I thought was to be strong. So I really needed to embrace that as a gift. And I learned in this journey as well that suppressing emotions will not let them go away. Feelings demand to be heard, and they want to be listened to and felt. We cannot control pain. So I had a season, and I'm still doing that, of leaning into the pain and embracing the suffering, and I just cried it out. I cried and I cried, and I still do when that is necessary. And that was actually so releasing, because in pouring yourself out and feeling the pain, God can do an exchange, and He can fill you up with His joy instead. But I also needed to learn to forgive those who had hurt me in this journey, and learning that it's okay to be angry, and I'm still working on that one. And also, because I had so much shame about having needs on my own, I thought it was only about caring for others. I really needed to learn that it was okay. So I would read through the Psalms as well, in David's journey, where he is telling about how, for example, in Psalm 34, where it says, "Look at God, give Him your warmest smile, never hide your feelings from Him." And I would read on in Matthew 12, where it says, "Jesus won't walk over anyone's feelings. He won't push you into a corner. Before you know it, His justice will triumph. The mere sound of His name will signal hope, even among far-off unbelievers." So my journey was really, with the scriptures, one of replacing lies with the truth in His presence. And I dealt with my emotions, processing it through writing. That is really still therapy for me to do, so find whatever works for you. And then I opened up to a few safe people. And for me, that was a woman called Helene Broland, who was just the main person in giving me the space to process through it all. And she was just loving me through my brokenness. And she also taught me the difference between being self-absorbed and being self-aware. And there is a big difference, because when you have an eating disorder and you are absorbed in yourself and in how others are perceiving you, and it's focusing on your own flaws and what you are not. But whereas self-awareness is just a healthy awareness of your strengths and your weaknesses, so that you can use that to serve others. So that would be my second point in this journey, that we are free to then serve others in love. And it has been a major part in my healing to serve others, but from that place of also learning that it is okay to take care of it's actually needed, that I take care of myself too, that it is healthy spirituality, that we are all included in this. It's not either or, it is both and. Um, yeah, and I really think the enemy, he knows our future before we do. And so he attacked my sensitivity and tried to destroy me with that. But now, because I am self-aware, I can use my sensitivity as a strength in City Care, where we reach out to different vulnerable people through our church, Hillsong Copenhagen. And I can use that sensitivity there to put myself in other people's shoes. And because I am intuitive and can sense what's going on in an environment, I can use that knowledge to now intercede for others and pray for others, instead of just hating and shaming and suppressing the way that I'm wired. Yeah. And beforehand, I would also, read in the Bible about how God takes care of the poor and the orphans, and think, oh, that's great. He loves them and he takes care of them. He thinks about them, but not me. But I really got a revelation that, I was also a homeless person. I had a homeless mentality in the way that I did not feel at home and safe in my own body. That I was an orphan in the way that I did not think that God would take care of me, only others. So with that revelation, it really opened my eyes to God's love, because when I'm included in all those categories in a way, then he's actually speaking a lot about me in the Bible. And so I love being with all those people we are serving through City Care, who are either homeless, or who have fled from their own home country, or are prostituting themselves, whoever it is. Because I feel God's presence the most in the brokenness. And because it was in my own brokenness that I had a renewed encounter with his presence and with his love, while I was suicidal and in these destructive patterns. So I have really found it's in the brokenness that Jesus tends to hang out. So I try to hang out there too, in my own life and in other people's lives. So that Jesus can meet me there and he can light up those dark corners. Yeah, so I'm almost done. The last thing I just wanted to say is that if my journey could teach you anything, it would be that your years can be redeemed. All those years where you may have feel like you have gone around the same mountain over and over again, or if there are years you feel like you have just wasted, or the enemy has stolen, I believe those can be redeemed, because it says in the Bible that that can change, because Jesus, he redeemed us from a self-defeating, cursed life by absorbing it completely into himself. So we don't need to stay stuck, and we don't need to stay tormented. But what we do need to do is surrender that to Jesus and let go. And I want to encourage you with that. There can be a day where you are actually laughing at the thought of the future again, because that is definitely my story. That suddenly I could see hope on the horizon again. So, God is still in the business of setting everyday girls free, to then free and save others in love. And that is what I love about the power of girls getting together. And all our stories are still being written, no matter who we are. And we can fight for each other, and we can remind each other that each story matters, and that we need each other's story of overcoming. And we overcome by being captives to Jesus and to his victorious thoughts about us and about the world. And we become free by being captivated by his love for us. So that is my story. And can I just say that if some of you listening to this are going through an eating disorder or something like this, that you relate to any part of what I have shared, I would love to hear from you and talk with you, and also direct you further if needed to professional help or to your local church where you could get pastoral care help or whatever it is. There are also great resources out there about getting through all of this that I know of, that I would love to send you if some of you are interested in that. But yeah, that was it. Have a great weekend. Bye.